All right, we're back for segment 3, and we're going to talk about your next couple of albums, which you did with me.
Yes.
And that was a learning experience for both of us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we're still here.
Yeah, we survived.
Yeah.
We're still friends to this day.
So talk to me a little bit about those two.
Well, when we met, of course I was interested in making another record at some point. I didn't know how I was going to do that. But after we met and I realized, that you had the same passion for music that I did, and also that you had written a lot of songs that you kind of had sitting there, and that we could listen to some of that together. Maybe even just originally, I think it was just doing some co-writing together that we thought would be fun. And then it became, well, let's try recording this in what was then your home studio. Now you have a professional studio up and running, which is fantastic. But at the time, we were working with what we had to work with.
Do you know what I think you learned? The very first lesson you learned working with me is that even though someone may look like a Russian commissar, they may have some blues in them.
Absolutely. No, when we talked about each other's influences and the sort of the music that you were into and were playing for me, and even some of the songs you'd written just the music for, that I ended up later putting lyrics to, and ended up on my albums that we made together, I could tell that you were into the same kinds of bands and the same sort of decade of music as me, and that you're a blues lover. So Shades of Blue was the album that I made, the first album I made with you in 2006, so a year after the first one I made there, that You Will, and it was decidedly more rootsy, definitely more of my own original material. We co-wrote about 80% of that. There were a couple cover songs on there that made sense, but definitely it was following my heart and believing in myself one step further, and so I think that's why the album did and has continued to do well. That album is actually probably one of the albums that's done the best. It's the bluesiest and is a good mix of...
It's that song that you did about the guy that was drowning called Wade in the Water.
Yeah.
Look, there's Wade in the water.
Yeah, old gospel song that we did a cool take on with the sort of world beat drum. And then, of course, we went on to make Hoochie Coochie Woman, which at the time, I had a lot going on in my life, and so that lyrically, that album was more intense and expressed and revealed a little bit more about what was going on in my life, and touched on all different kinds of subjects, which I was proud of at the time. And we even played around with taking an old blues song like Hoochie Coochie Man, although we called it Hoochie Coochie Woman, and putting a kind of a hip-hop drum on it, which was really cool, to contemporize it a little and open it up to kids.
I was kind of proud of that because we got permission, we got sort of partnered with the estate of Willie Dixon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
For No More Stormy Mondays.
Yeah, exactly,
the songs they actually liked enough to
allow
license
that
for us and give us a half ownership of. Yeah, for sure. Definitely that record, again, was just another step in the right direction as far as believing in myself and sort of pursuing getting more of my own actual lyrics on the record. You did a lot of the music on there, but definitely it was lyrically more Layla Zoe content, which I think is so important.
Well, I think you're a great writer. I mean,
thank you.
And you whip that stuff up pretty fast now.
Sometimes it just, all I have to do is like feel and hear the music and it comes to me, Other times you have to work at it a bit harder, but it's nice when it sort of flows. And when we were working together, there was definitely a certain flow that happened. We suited each other as far as writing together.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah, there wasn't too much friction in that area. We just sort of did it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And after that, I made the Live at Arrington Hall CD, which I made sort of on my own, decided to do this record because I wanted to release a record every year. And so that was the next one, and it was made...
Even it was someone else's?
Yeah, it was the least expensive record that I've made, even though I had to pay for the royalties of some of the cover songs I sang that night on stage. It was just recorded live, acoustic duo, me and my friend Java performing, and, just had to come up with the graphics and press the thing. So the least expensive album I made independently, but still a good album, and I always suggest to people to consider making a live album, if they don't have a lot of money to do it,
Well, I mean, it's like being a writer. I mean, you can't be a writer unless you get up every day and do it.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, and not all your material or not all your stuff will be as good as maybe some of the other stuff, but you have to keep doing it to move forward.
Yeah.
Or else you just stop in your tracks, right?
Yeah.
So many people do that.
Some people, will always just play around the house and are talented musicians that play for their friends and family around the campfire, but definitely it's something I've wanted to do for a living, so then you need to think about putting out product for your fans to actually buy, and so making the records every year was not just for me to artistically get what was happening in my life out of my system, but also to have something for the fans to enjoy, and so that they could keep feeling that they were getting more more music from me, and of course the small pennies that flow in from that help me to make the next record. So
yeah, exactly.
So I don't know if you wanted to talk about the next album now, or...
Well, no, what I'd like to do is go to break, and then we'll come back. I'd like to talk about your move to Montreal and Toronto,
Okay.
and how that's influenced you. I mean,
Sure.
it was a big move personally for you, and how that's helped you, because I think it's helped you musically,
For sure.
right?
Well, career-wise,
develop your
absolutely.
career, yeah.
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to go to break, and we'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll talk about her move to the east.
Sounds good.
Okay, bye.